Okay, it looks like we're live now. Hello, how's it going, everyone? This is Mitchellmander here, coming at you with another live stream. Today we're going to be talking about Pokemon Horizons episode 126, Liko vs. Dash, aka Dot's Doppelganger. How was this episode overall? Well, before I actually get into my thoughts on the episode, and I just want to talk about a few things here, just in case you're here for the first time. Probably not, but you never know. But anyways, what we do here is, well, obviously we're talking about Pokemon Horizons, but for about a first 5-ish, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, I let people show up for the stream. Then from there, I'll give a summary of the episode, give my thoughts on the episode, assign a rating to the episode. Then I hand it over to the chat, and we usually go on for roughly an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. That range is pretty typical for these streams. Another thing to note here is the music you hear in the background comes from the Video Game Study Lounge by Game Chops, link in the description. Lo-fi remixes of video game music, along with some originals sprinkled in here and there. As you just heard a minute ago, they were playing a Pokemon remix. So you'll hear stuff from Pokemon, Mario, Sonic, Final Fantasy. Pretty much all the popular game franchises will probably be represented here. But, yeah. Check it out sometime. Anyways, let's take a look at who's here. Looks like we got Ned Fan, 28, sup? Hey, how's you doing? Welcome in. Sup, Thomas? Did you read my Arvin essay posted on your latest video? I have not yet. I've been pretty busy the last couple of days. I need to catch up on my comments for my video I put out the other day, so when I have time here, maybe today or maybe sometime this week, I will read it. But I am curious to see what you said, though. I do see some comments that come in through YouTube Studio. It's just sometimes I don't have time to go read through everything. I've been a little bit busier this last week, so I'll get to it when I can. We did have a little troublemaker in the chat, or in the comment section the other day, so I had to kind of deal with that. But beyond that, I haven't really read a whole lot. But I will get to it. I promise you, I will. Hello, Sharon. I'm doing pretty good. Give this episode a 7 out of 10. It has issues. How so? Who do you think will win in battles in next week's episode? We'll get to that probably later on in the stream. I haven't seen the episode yet, but I'll watch it with episode 127 as a double-thon. Watching back-to-back episodes of Pokemon Horizons. Gotcha. Super Plush Productions. Hey, how's it going? Welcome in. I have a theory. What if Dot loses to Penny in the next episode, but then she has a rematch against Penny, and that's where Quaxwell will evolve? Do you think so? We're getting a little tight on time, considering it does seem that we are ramping things up here. Since we got 2 new trainers to help us out in the future, upcoming, final battle. So I don't know. We'll see. I want Quaxwell to beat Vaporeon without evolving. It needs to get a win. Imagine Quaxwell will evolve in the Iono match. Will we get another Iono match here? Would be the question. Hey, Harlster. Hey, how's it going? Welcome in. A day late, but we're all here. Why not? I actually watched the episode today because I was literally busy pretty much all day yesterday. I came back home for a little bit, and by the time I came back home, I just needed to rest for a bit. And then I was back out, so didn't even get a chance to check the episode out until this morning, so Unless you have other battles going on in the episode, which would take away the spotlight from Quaxwell. That is true. Based on what I can tell, I'll get into this later on, but I don't want to talk about it a whole lot, just so I want to reserve this for later on in the stream, but I'll just say, considering what we got from the promo material for this upcoming episode, it looks like it's going to be 1v1 matches, which I'm a little bit let down by that, because I think they should be more than that, but oh well. If they're going to fit 4 battles in the one episode, 1v1 is pretty much the way to go. I rated it 6. It's kind of just an episode for me, gotcha. Alt will have a tough time battling against Tashel, 4 times weak to ice. Yeah, bro's in for a hard time. Before I go any further, before I get to my summary, I just want to say, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button. I would very much appreciate that if you would do that. Helps push the channel a little bit further in the algorithm. I'm still a small channel. I need likes, guys. But another thing to do is we have a poll. Go ahead and vote in the poll. Currently, 8-7 is winning. Nobody has voted for 10-9, so it seems like I can tell where what people feel about this episode based on these votes already. But go ahead and vote. Doesn't matter which one you vote for. Just vote on how you felt about the episode. Sound good? Will Hashel use Mega Braxibar? I don't know. You think so? We've already got some representation from ZA, but do you think that's gonna happen? Be a little bit of a surprise. But I guess we'll find out, right? I also did set myself up for disappointment in this episode because for some reason, I was fully expecting to see Alt Doppelganger. Oh. Wouldn't that have been funny? Who's in for Quaxwell's evolution to Quaxwell in Horizons? Yep, I'm in for it. Although it has kind of been taking a lot of L's. It could probably use that evolution boost in power, though. Especially it needs to get ready for the upcoming final battle. Plus, Quaxwell evolving in a mostly dot-focus episode would make more sense. Possibly, but there's been episodes that are not necessarily focused on specific characters where said Pokemon end up evolving, so just gotta put it out there. You never know. It could be now or it could be later, I don't know. I'd prefer it to not happen in the final battle, though. Because then we wouldn't have much time with Quaxwell. But oh well. We'll see what they decide to do, right? But that thing doesn't really contribute to why I rated it a 6 overall. Okay, gotcha. Imagine an alt doppelganger, which is exactly what Harlster said. Just happy that Liko is using Armor Rouge in the next episode. Technically, she used it very briefly in this episode, just putting it out there. I'm shocked that no main character caught the low kicks. It's one of the coolest Pokemon from Gen 9. Yeah, that would have been cool. Okay, I'm going to read a few more comments and then I'm going to stop it in a minute. Char Cadet evolved in a mostly Liko-focused episode. And who's excited for Pokemon Thursday Anniversary Friday, February 27th? I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. I do think that this Pokemon Presents is a must-watch just because, Gen 10 is happening. It's just... It's just expected at this point, but I'm wondering if for the 30th anniversary, I know I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because we're talking about the episode, but I'm wondering if maybe what they did for the 20th anniversary was Red, Blue, and Yellow got Virtual Console releases. Well, Virtual Console is kind of dead now, but it'd be cool if maybe they either came to NSO or even you could just purchase it on the eShop. That might be the way to go, because I don't think you can really do much, trading with, NSO. They might be dead in the water there, so, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to stop there on the chat for now, before I kind of get buried here, but you can go ahead and keep chatting. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my thoughts about this episode, as I do. So to summarize this episode, we've arrived at the Naraja Academy. Liko and Roy have a quick training session, which Armarouge is battling here, which is cool. Armarouge versus Skeledirge. Nice. Iono also appears at the very beginning of the episode. It seems like she got a strong sphere from Exceed, as I suspected. They want her to promote it on her streams, which it seems like she agrees to. However, yeah, she's not going to do that, because it turns out that the Rising Volt Tacklers are hiding. They're hiding thanks to Iono. Which makes sense at this point. They can't really go out anywhere. They're basically not necessarily wanted criminals, but they got a very tarnished reputation. So if they go anywhere, they're going to be spotted and they're going to be shamed. So they're basically hiding out. Iono is coming in clutch here, hiding them out so they don't get spotted. However, Liko and the others go to the Naraja Academy so that they can convince Clavel and the others that, the Strong Spheres are bad. You can't really use it because it's going to, sever the bond between trainer and Pokemon, along with harming said Pokemon as well. They got all this data, and, while it's good, unfortunately, they can't exactly go to the public because, as Clavel actually points out, and this can be something that actually relates to real life, people don't necessarily, they're not going to look at it logically. They're going to react emotionally, which makes sense because they're going to look at this and be like, what do you mean? You guys are the Rising Volt Tacklers. They already got a tarnished reputation. So if this information came from them, they're not going to believe it. They're just going to think it's, fake. So they can't exactly go out and say anything. However, they do agree to ban it at the school, which is good. So the students can't use it in their training or in their classes. So good. At least that's one step to showing everyone, showing the public that the Strong Spheres are not good. Okay, so that's good. We've established that. Nemona and Penny were in the room, so they kind of understood that as well. But anyways, we go to the doppelgangers, and Liko and Roy's doppelgangers are training, but Dot's doppelganger, Dash, she feels like she's fallen behind. They're best friends, but she's fallen behind. They've got, they've pushed themselves, but she failed the terrestrial course. So she feels like she's falling behind, but she goes back to her dorm, gets her Strong Sphere out, only to find out that the Strong Spheres have been banned in the academy. And then she ends up running into Liko and the others, blames them for causing the ban. And they try to convince her, hey, the Strong Spheres are dangerous. They're not good. Do not use it. But she's unconvinced, because she was one of the ones that was one of the beta testers. And they tried to tell her, like, hey, don't you remember, your Pokemon, got worn out because of the usage of the Strong Sphere. But she's pretty unconvinced, so she challenges Liko to a battle. And if Liko wins, the ban stays. But if she loses, they have to rescind the ban. So Liko reluctantly agrees. So they end up battling, and at first she's not using the Strong Sphere. And, despite the fact that she's not using the Strong Sphere, she's actually not doing too bad. She is losing, but she's actually somewhat holding her own and is actually able to anticipate some of Meowscarada's movements. So that's kind of neat. But, after a while, Meowscarada starts to win the battle. So she becomes desperate and uses the Strong Sphere. And that's when all the students can see, firsthand, what the Strong Sphere does to the Pokemon. And as soon as she uses that, Swanna actually just goes kind of, on a rampage, stops listening to her commands, and just starts mindlessly attacking. And as we know, the one weakness with the Strong Spheres and, using them is that, it severs the bond. So as a result, it's just using moves, randomly. So that's its own detriment. So Meowscarada has to try and avoid all of its attacks. But it eventually manages to corner it with a Flower Trick and takes it down. And as a result, Liko wins the battle. And Dash over here learns firsthand that the Strong Spheres are bad. The Strong Spheres, did a lot of harm to her Pokemon. However, her friends were watching, and at first she was going to run away in shame because she felt like she was too weak. However, her friends actually encouraged her. They actually wanted to battle with her earlier, but she ran off to check on the strong spear and get that out. But turns out they were watching the battle, but they said, hey, you were doing just fine without it. Even if you were going to lose the battle, you were still putting up a fight. So, yeah. Anywho, now that the students kind of saw that firsthand and saw what the harm and the damage strong spears does to the Pokemon, yeah, it kind of just shows that, the ban, was justified. So more people are kind of realizing that the strong spears are dangerous and harmful to Pokemon and to the society as they're about to be mass produced. So that pretty much wraps up the main focus in the episode. So at the end of the episode, they're kind of trying to figure out what they're going to do next. They need to gather strong trainers so that they can get Pokemon that are on the same level of the hero Pokemon. However, Nemona and Penny show up, and Nemona points out that they've grown quite a bit as trainers, and they have gotten a lot stronger since she met them. And as a result, they realize that their partners are pretty much the Pokemon that are needed to, the Pokemon they have can be used and are pretty much on the level of the 6 hero Pokemon, since they did technically win. Although I would argue that, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but they are pretty competent. And they did defeat the 5 of the 6 hero Pokemon while they were on the strong spears. So, yeah, just putting that out there. They did that. So Nemona's not wrong. However, having witnessed, the strong spears and what they do to Pokemon, Nemona and Penny, can't, let that slide. They don't want to see this, happen to the masses. So they join the Rising Volt Tacklers here. So they're joining the crew here. Obviously, we knew that was coming with the poster. So they're going to be helping out here. They're going to be contributing some of their Pokemon to the cause. And that's pretty much where this episode comes to an end. So, overall, I actually thought this episode was decent. Not a great episode, not a bad episode either. This was basically a necessary episode, like I said in my video the other day. This is a necessary episode to kind of build the narrative that the strong spears are bad. Because, like Clavel said, people aren't going to use logic, they're going to use emotion, which is exactly what Dash was doing. She was reacting emotionally. She felt like she was weak, and this made her strong. So she, wasn't thinking logically. So, that's one thing this episode did that I think was good. It shows that, the general public, especially people that are not, strong trainers, they're going to be like, hey, this is great. This is going to make, a weak trainer strong. So this episode, in that sense, is necessary for, like, the narrative that's going on that the series is building. Now, granted, I will say, it's obviously, Dash is not exactly, like, an important character. The doppelgangers are the doppelgangers for a reason. It's kind of interesting because I figured they were one-note characters, but they've actually showed up multiple times now. So I think that's pretty neat, Horizons. You've taken characters that I didn't think would be, like, relevant at all and made them at least a little bit more relevant. So gotta give Horizon some credit. But overall, it's a decent episode in my opinion. I'd probably give it a 7. Probably 7 would be probably a fair rating in my opinion. At least a solid start to this return to Naraja Academy for, like, what, the 4th or 5th time. We've been back and forth here multiple different times between Terrasso, of course, and now. But yeah, I thought this episode was decent. It's a necessary episode, not filler like some people were speculating. But it leads to the next episode, so we're gonna have these training battles in the next episode with the return of Anne as well, and Hashel also participating. So yeah. Anyways, what did you guys think? Let's get caught back up in the chat, and let's see. You guys have been going crazy in the chat, so let's see if I can catch up. So you can still keep chatting, but I will try to catch up. It might take me, like, a little bit, but I will catch up. Anyways, where I left up at was Sharon. All the other evolutions were we're in that character's focus episode. Not necessarily. There's some evolutions that, you know, not necessarily focus on it. Maybe not in Horizons, but in other series as well. But yeah, honestly, I don't know. Honestly, I don't why. You know, no. You mean you don't know why they waited so long for Quaxwell to evolve? You know, I mean, some evolutions take a while. I mean, look at Sun and Moon with Poplio. Its evolutions happen very late in the series. In that series, just saying. I think because Quaquaval is the least popular, the Paldea final evolution starter evolutions, maybe. Hey, Rev, what's up? Welcome in. Would be glad if Hassel had used Mega Excalibur, Nemona used Mega Halucha. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Nemona pulled off something like that, but Mega Excalibur, I'm a little bit skeptical on that. It'd be cool. And, you know, if you... And brownie points for those that, like, actually, like, predict that in the next episode, but I'm a little bit unsure. I'm a little unconvinced. Until, like, we get, like, a gift or, like, some type of leak or something, I'm a little bit... I'm expecting just Terra for it, but I don't know. Maybe he just pulls it out and he's like, actually, I have this. It's just that we haven't really seen that utilized in Paldea, besides Roy Mega Evolving Lucario, but yeah. Battle itself was not that great. I mean, again, were you expecting, like, a major, like, battle? I don't, just be real. I wouldn't go into this expecting, like, a, like, amazing battle. It's Dot's doppelganger, after all. Now, next week's episode, I'm expecting a little bit more, considering they're more relevant characters, so... I wouldn't put too much stock into this battle, if I'm being real. It's just, it serves a narrative purpose, is what the main thing is for this episode. Quaxwell evolution is not going to happen, I think. I don't know about that. You know, we've already got merch that suggests it's happening. Unless it's someone else's Quaxwell. Swana did not even land a hit on Masquerade. It got destroyed. Yeah? It still put up a fight, though. I mean, it didn't land a hit, but it was avoiding some of Masquerade's attacks. It was going to lose eventually, but yeah. Special teacher, they don't show Quaquaval in the poster, but they showed Zygarde complete. Well, they could be still hiding it. I've been pointing that out. Maybe they want to keep it as a surprise. Oh yeah, the Iono already knowing was also a good twist. I wasn't expecting her to know already. It's kind of interesting. Well, they can't really go anywhere now, so that's why I do feel like we're kind of heading towards the end here for this battle here, because like they can't really go anywhere else. And oh, another thing I failed to mention is that Orla is going to be powering up the Brave Asagi, because they couldn't make, you know, Rikua, they had limitations when they were there previously, so she's going to power it up so that it can handle the high elevation. So yeah, forgot to mention that earlier, but she's gonna be working on that for the time. Technically, this is where the Brave Asagi was before Iono had them like staying there, as it was being repaired when it got damaged after Arc 2. So take of that what you will. It probably won't take as long for her to power it up as it did to repair the whole thing. So I guess we'll see how long it takes her to get that into working shape. For all we know, it's done by the end of the month. Hold on a second, I need some water. Better. Okay. Okay. Liko's team is amazing. Masquerada is a magician, Jester, Hedorine as the witch healer, Armarouge is the brave knight in shining armor, and Trapagos is the jewel shield. Dope team for Liko. Yeah, I kind of like it. I kind of dig it. Dasher's really pushing Swana. when it was on the strong sphere, hurting it in the process, but Dash kept pushing Swanna. After using the strong... I gotta kind of counter that, because after using the strong sphere, as soon as Swanna started just attacking, like, mindlessly, she tried to stop it and tried to recall it. So she wasn't necessarily pushing her anymore. She pushed her initially when she used the strong sphere, but after that, when it went on its rampage, she tried to stop it desperately. But it basically had to be taken out in order for it to calm down. What Pokemon would Alt Doppelganger use? Dropper, Salazar? I don't know, because he doesn't exist. Masquerada does not use Sucker Punch anymore. Dash should have known strong spheres were bad before. She probably should have been... kind of felt something was off then, but you gotta kind of put into perspective that this is pretty much a brand new thing. And she probably hasn't used it a whole lot. It seems like she's had it stored away, so... more than likely she only used it that one time. And now she's realizing now that they, it's kind of, clicking with her. Again, people are, you're not responding logically. They're responding with emotion, which is what she was doing. She wasn't thinking. But yeah. To me, this episode really felt like semi-filler episode, just with the sole intent of having a reason for Nemona and Penny to tag along. I disagree, just because, again, this was a narrative, fulfilling episode, in my opinion. You gotta kind of, the general public still doesn't know about the strong spheres and the harm they cause, so you gotta keep kind of pushing the narrative that they're bad. And they're banned at school. Now trainers know why it's banned. This was this was like the definitive proof. If someone was recording this, they could probably use it as a counter argument to strong spheres once they kind of go into mass production. So, just saying. Plus, I feel like Dash Rush was very slightly rushed, but overall I have no issue with how she was handled. You mean the battle? Oh. Or just her being convinced? Roy is using Lucario to battle Palmette, not Skelly Dirge. Lucario didn't really battle previously in the 5-hero Pokemon battle, so it's getting some shine here. It's getting a rematch again, but technically it won before, so... Okay, anyways, God, we're gonna be spending a lot of time here catching up. I'll try to be a little bit faster with the comments moving forward, though I don't spend a whole lot of time on each one. The in-game team is united. Yep. I mean, I do want a tournament mini arc. We'll see what happens, Sharon. We'll see. We saw her fail, but I don't remember if we see her lose a battle after that before we get to the episode where she's trying out the strong sphere and then the conclusion here. The last time we saw her, to my recollection, was basically at the end of Terrestrial debut, where she basically was like, yeah, I failed the Terrestrial course. I went back and actually watched a portion of that episode, and yeah, she failed. The other two passed, but she failed. And brings Dash story full circle of going to retake the Terrestrial course, which I hope we see in a cameo sort of sense. That would actually be nice, because this could give her the motivation to try harder, because she had this loss here, but she's shown that she's improved quite a bit. She went up against Liko. At this point, Liko is a pretty stacked trainer, and she's not weak anymore, so I mean, she was avoiding some of Meowscarada's attacks, so I'd say that shows some improvement on her end. But yeah, we never really got to see them battle before, because they were running away from was it the Mankey in that one episode in Primate? Or what? I can't remember. That was the episode where Hatena evolved a while back. Dash should have thought about using the strong sphere before using it on Swanna. Well, didn't really, again, not using logic, using emotion. episode kind of tried to pile that on. Plus, why does Swana still have water gun? I don't know. Ask Dash. Could have had Glad. Give it Hydro Pump and Hurricane. Extra Sharon. Donna, Burn, Masquerada. Gotta Dash and Swana credit though. I'm sad that we never got an episode of how Methio got Zygarde. Compared this to Cinnamon, where there was an episode where Gladian finds his dad Zoroark. Yeah, it would have been. That's one problem I'm having here towards the end here is that, like, you know, he came back with 10% Zygarde, and I'm like, that's cool, but, like, give us, like, an episode where it shows them collecting them or something. Like, do something before we go to the end here. We know he's got 50% Zygarde now, and we know 100% is coming. Just give us, like, an episode where it shows them. Maybe even in, like, a flashback or something. Especially with Zirconconia helping out, too, so... I just don't like him showing up and be like, yep, I did it. It's like, cool. So, you did that fast. Gibeon didn't even have 100%. Liko has the type disadvantage against Anne, so she could lose. She could, but this is the Pokemon anime. You gotta remember that. You nearly forgot about Orla, dude. Yeah, well, we didn't completely forget. we got it in time. Roy will beat Nemona, okay. But hey, you're still learning? I mean, you gotta give it this. You know, my summary is just that. I'm trying to kind of go over the main points, but that still is a pretty big point I missed out on. But pretty good for only having watched the episode like 2 hours ago. So these are just my preliminary thoughts on what we got in the episode. Now that I thought about it, the beginning of Season 3, Roy was kind of focusing on Lucario, but now at his last arc, Roy is now focusing on his partner, Skelly Dirge. Lucario was sitting out. Yeah, I remember people were getting annoyed with that. You know, people didn't really like that Lucario had, like, no development or backstory. It's almost like they did 3 episodes recently that, you know, kind of explain how it came to the team. But, you know, some people just don't want to watch it for some reason. Alt could lose to Haschel, and I mean, it's Elite 4 trainer. Yeah, I'm not really expecting him to win, but if he actually manages to take down, or maybe like hurt one of Haschel's Pokemon, I can see him just breaking down in tears, because that's just his personality. We will see ZA Karina. Why would we see ZA Karina? Why? What purpose would she fill? Did Meowscarada just relearn Quick Attack? I don't know. Look it up. Meowscarada needs to learn Night Slash. That'd be cool. Oh god, I cannot keep up with the chat. Dot's Doppelganger could use Morgrim, a pre-evolution for Grimmsnarl. That'd be kind of neat if if Alt Doppelganger existed. Give me Meowscarada Night Slash. Oh, hi Fizzle Wizard. When are you doing Pokemon manga reviews? I don't know if I would necessarily do Pokemon manga reviews because I'd probably risk getting, a copyright on those ones. I don't really do manga reviews. I did the Boruto manga back before Two Blue Vortex, but I was running into problems there, so I don't know if I want to revisit that. That being said, the Pokemon manga is not too bad. I actually like Pokemon Adventures. In some ways, it's better than the anime. It would be neat if we could get like an adaptation of it. It'd be probably in a seasonal format, but yeah. I believe this episode did what it needed to do. Almost perfect. 9 out of 10. Okay. Hey, what's up, Hexter Dexter? What's up? We're just missing Pokefan now, unless he's down here in the chat somewhere. So after this arc is finished, will the final arc be a shorter arc? Why would it be shorter? Would be my question. 2026 will be the year that Pokemon Horizons is be cooking some awesome stuff. Well, we'll see what happens. I think that Roy should have gotten a low kick. That would have been cool. Well, I'll take the Terrestrial course while in Paldea. We don't really have time for that. We kind of got bigger fish to fry right now. Escort Solidarity is Quackable, amazing starters in Paldea. Nah, no water gun disrespect. You saw a 10-year become the strongest trainer in the world with that move. I mean, yeah. It's funny. Alright, looks like I'm getting close to catching up. He just shows up with 100% shiny Zygarde. Yep. It's hard to forget that about Orla. An adorable creature must be protected at all costs. Agreed. It'll be interesting Roy uses both Terrestrialization and Mega Evolution during the big battle. Is that even possible? That would be like unbelievably busted to do that. And what is your favorite opening for Horizons? That's a good question. The current opening is kind of eh. I really like opening 2, even though, you know, Arc 2 is not my favorite by any means. The opening is great for that arc. The first one is actually pretty good too. I don't mind opening 3, but the majority of people seem to hate opening 3. I gotta go back and revisit opening 4 because I haven't heard that one in a minute. But if I remember correctly, I liked opening 4 as well. I'd say the current one is probably my least favorite personally, though. And I'm shocked that Charcadet did not have a training episode. And BBA could have had Kieran train with Liko and Charcadet and also squeeze Roy's training for his rematch. Yeah, I would have loved that. It just feels like we're just pressed for time now, unfortunately. So probably stuff there got cut. It's a shame. Liko with T-Titan and Mabostiff. I mean, I don't think Mabostiff works for Liko. Works for a certain somebody that needs to show up. The series has been cutting corners story-wise recently. Yeah, unfortunately, as we're starting, it does really feel like we are wrapping things up. So, at least for the storyline that's currently going on, no idea what's gonna follow. The Rising again, whether there's gonna be an actual final arc or what, I have no clue. Yeah, I'm shocked no one caught low kicks in the series. Dot with Ampharos and Spidops. I could see Ampharos working. What's up, Mitchell? True, the story is moving forward with its serious storyline. Yeah, like again, we are literally approaching the end. We are at the end game, guys. The strong spheres are getting ready to go out. The Rising Tacklers can't really go anywhere because of, you know, they're, you know, have a horrible reputation. And they might even be considered criminals now, for all we know. So they literally can't reveal themselves. They can't leave until they probably have their team ready to go to Rikua. Because as soon as they have the hero Pokemon and then I don't know if the hero Pokemon are going to be contributing to the 18 Terra types. They probably are. So we need at least 12 Pokemon then from there. So once we have all that, and then once Orla completes the ship, we're good to go. We're going to Rikua at that point. We're going to be busting in. So we also need to pick up Frieda and Diana as well. So we're getting there. I mean, we see Lucario fighting Hawlucha. I mean, you know, that could be a Pokemon we're going to be anticipating here soon, but at the same time, you know, sometimes the openings throw Pokemon in there that don't ultimately end up in. So I don't know. We'll see. My favorite openings of Horizons are 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I thought there was only 5 openings. I thought each arc has an opening. We're in arc... No, we're in arc 6, excuse me. What am I saying? And I was gonna say, I think we only have 6 openings, don't we? Or worse, fugitives? Yeah, they technically are fugitives, so... But yeah, we are literally at the end. We're in February of 2026. And if Gen 10 is presumably coming out in November of 2026 or October, I don't know what the plan is. They kind of got to compete with GTA 6. I guess we'll find out soon enough, right? But we're kind of on a time limit now. Like, at most, Horizons is probably only got until October at the latest. Unless they decide to extend the series for X, Y, Z reason. No pun intended there, but yeah. Guess we'll find out, right? Maybe Roy might catch a Talucha. Also, I anxiously waiting for Dot's Quaxwell to evolve. As cool as that would be, I feel like Alt is the one that needs a third Pokemon, because he's only got Sableye and Dragonite. He could seriously use at least one more Pokemon, you know, to at least, you know, have at least 3 Mons. But I don't know, it's kind of, we're towards the end, so I feel like another capture would be kind of, you know, it'd be cool, but like we wouldn't have enough time to dedicate to said Pokemon. But yeah. Will we get a rematch where Liko uses Armorers to battle Diana's Peach stunt? And she terras it in battle? You mean Pecharunt? Is that what you mean? I don't know. You're asking me a lot of questions I literally can't give you an answer to. Also, sorry, I retract my 10-year becoming the strongest trainer in the world statement. It was a 10-year and 9 months old who became the strongest in the world with water gun. Yep. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly right, you know, because Kukui's child. Somehow still 10 after that. Roy's doppelganger really had a growth spurt. Just like Roy did. Well, the Mega Evolution was 6th arc and Rising Again was 7th arc. We only had... I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure we're on arc 6 right now. Because this is arc 6. We only had 4 arcs in part 1 of Horizons, and then we've had Mega Voltage and Rising Again in part 2. Because arc 1 was Liko and Roy sets off. Arc 2, Shiny Terapagos. Arc 3, Terrestrial debut. Arc 4, Rayquaza Rising. Arc 5, Mega Voltage. Arc 6, Rising Again. So yeah, 6 arcs. This arc will be done by April. The last arcs 2 and 4 both ended in March, though. If this goes into April, this would be kind of breaking the trend. I think this series will be done by August, September. You think so? The main series could end in September, and then October maybe gives us like some special episodes for the characters, you know, as we, you know, send them off. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. We'll find out soon enough. Give Bald Slopes kick. Excuse me. Need some more water. Okay. Hawlucha weirdly does fit Alt quite well. Yeah, it could work, but I'm not really focusing on Hulucha so much because I don't know if that's going to happen at this point. Sometimes they throw stuff in the openings that don't happen. Some stuff does happen, so guess we'll see if this does happen. It could even be just a trainer that they go up against. Wouldn't it be surprising if Nemona had the Hulucha? Wouldn't that be something? Well, the Pokemon anime, Horizons anime gives us a Halloween theme episode this coming October. I don't know. We're kind of wrapping things up. Do you really think we're gonna get that? Peach Stunt is probably autocorrect. Yeah, that's what I thought. Petrant will have Poison Terra. Yeah, Confusion, right? Yep. I do want that rematch between Liko and Diana with Armor battling Petrant. Huh. Will we get an hour-long special? I don't know. We've only gotten 2, and they've been the beginning of Horizons and the beginning of Arc 2. Or the Part 2 of Horizons. Liko's Armor has his Fires moves and needs to learn Psychic moves. Yeah, probably soon. Armor should learn Psych Shock or Expanding Force. I think Quaxwell will evolve at the end of February. We do have a Shining episode on the 27th, though. More than likely that's due to Pokemon Day, but hey, look, last year on Pokemon Day, we got Roy teased with Mega Lucario. Shiny Mega Lucario, so anything's possible, right? Headering needs Psychic and get rid of Confusion. Yeah, probably. Hey, look at that. I finally got caught up on the chat. I did it, guys. Anyways, since I did this, it'd be cool if maybe, if you haven't already, hit that like button. We are at 7 likes. Can we get the 10 likes here before we wrap things up at the end of the stream? We would appreciate it. And also remember the vote in the poll if you haven't already. 8-7 is currently winning. It looks like 10-9 has actually gotten some votes since the last time I checked. We're at 25% or 3 votes. And we got 6-5 got 8% of the vote, which is probably 1% or 1 person. Dang it. Okay, where was I? I think Quaxwell. Okay, yep. I read that already. I completely forgot Freed exists. Oh, the anime does a good job butchering his character with him not calling the rival attackers earlier. Okay, I get it. You're not too happy with that. But he'll be showing up here once he's concluded his work at the space station or whatever. But he is contributing to this final battle, so we'll see him here soon. Headering needs Dazzling Gleam and get rid of Healing Wish. 1 hour specials for Pokemon are nice, but I miss watching Pokemon movies. I mean, they still did hour-long specials even with movies. The movies, in my opinion, are very hit and miss. I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of anime movies. Although lately, things in my opinion has been changing since a lot of other anime have been doing movies that are actually canon, so they're kind of necessary watches. So, I think that those movies are a little bit more meaningful, I guess. And the Pokemon movies, you know, some of them, you know, I mean, the first one is definitively canon, but, like, some of them you can argue can fit in wherever or doesn't fit at all. Some are good, or some are decent, some are just not good, so, but, we haven't had a movie since 2020, and obviously you know what happened around that time. But, yeah, I just wanted one movie for Horizons. If we got an announcement for a movie on Pokemon Day and it's like a movie for Horizons, you know, that would be cool. What if the final arc was a movie? I'd hope it'd be good. But yeah, the final battle. So will Roy become the new permanent leader of the Rainbow Tacklers? I mean, technically, he pretty much is. Hope Nemona wins next week, but a draw would be okay. I don't know. We'll see what happens. You also gotta put it out there that it is a training battle. But oh well. I don't really care if Lucario wins personally. Like, could the final clash be an hour-long special? I don't know. They technically did that for Team Flare, if I recall. Am I right with that? I think Team Flare was an hour-long special. The final part of it. Excuse me, guys. Small cold going on here. Roy is the leader of the new Rainbow Tacklers officially, and Freed made sure of it when he battled Roy to test him. Yep. Hope we see Gita's shiny King Gambit in the series. I don't know if she's gonna be playing any more, major roles at this point, but we'll see. Will Freed let Roy keep Pikachu? Beats me. I just assumed it was always a temporary thing. Wait, why isn't Penny using Sylveon in the next episode? I don't know. She's got multiple different evolutions in the game, so she's just using another one. She happens to be using Nick's favorite Pokemon, so... Nemona is the true champion of the series? I suppose. If you put it that way. And they have the aid of a champion level character, so like they're still in pretty good hands going into this final battle. They're assembling a team. I want Penny to use Umbreon? Or Umbreon? Maybe she's just diversifying her team a little bit. I think Roy is champion level if he gets Rayquaza. Well, I don't even think he's champion level. He's just like the strongest if he has Rayquaza. His level 1000 Rayquaza versus everyone, all he has to do is just nuke him. Draco Meteor, it's over, done. Good lord, Lucius. Quite the powerful Pokemon you have. Okay, now that I've caught up on chat and everything, I guess we've already talked about it a little bit, so thoughts on the next episode. Liko versus Anne, Roy versus Nemona, Dot versus Penny, Alt versus Hashel. I'm going to be putting out the pictures that we got for each battle. It looks like they're going to be 1v1 from what I can tell. And then I'll probably be putting out polls to see what people think and who's going to win these battles. Obviously, I don't expect them to all win. I don't know who's going to win or who's going to lose. I'd be kind of surprised if they all won, to be honest with you. But, yeah, sorry, Alt. You're kind of getting a bad. You're getting a pretty tough opponent, an Elite Four member. So rip Alt. Dot versus Penny. Personally, I would like Dot to win this time. It would be cool if Quaxwell evolved at the same time during the episode. That would be cool, but I don't know what's gonna happen. We'll find out. Roy versus Nemona. I have a feeling that Roy's gonna win this time, but we'll see what happens. Technically, Lucario got the win against Palmont before, but we'll see what happens. Liko versus Anne. This could go either way, but yeah, we could have Liko win again or Anne win. Who knows? But y'all gotta keep in mind it is a training session. They're doing it. They're preparing for this final battle. So honestly, I don't really care who wins or loses. I know Alt got kind of the short end of the stick, but this is kind of to get them ready and pumped up for this final confrontation. They gotta be ready for this. And they also gotta point out the fact that, their Pokemon are already at the level of the hero Pokemon, so they ain't weak at this point, so they are strong. But yep, it is a training battle to get ready for this final battle, and they're all going to be besides Hashel is going to be participating in the upcoming battle, so I guess we'll find out, how next week's episode go. I wouldn't get too upset if certain people win or lose, though. Unless it's, like, super egregious, but even then, I don't think it's that big of a deal in this case, but we'll see. Yeah. I think Roy should catch a powerful water type in a future episode. Probably could help him out. I think Alt will lose, Roy will win, Liko will win, Dot will lose, but I want Quaxwell to get a W. Dot, that would be a second straight L for Dot, though, against Penny. I kind of want her to win against Iono eventually, but hey, maybe that'll happen someday. It's a train battle, so there may not be a conclusion. That is true. But I guess we'll find out what happens. What if we have a Paldea League at the end of the series? That would be very... I don't know how I'd feel about that, personally. I've seen people suggest that, we're going to do a league for sure, because that's how every Pokemon series has gone. I'm like, well, Horizons isn't your typical Anipoke series. The mini tournament, or that tournament that they do at the very end of the, main story pre-DLC for Scarlet and Violet, I feel like that could suffice instead of a Paldea League. Because, like, you would have to go through the gym challenge. And, like, we're getting ready to go into Gen 10. So, it would be, like, super rushed if they were to do a Paldea League. It would be, like, one episode, gym leader battle, next episode, next gym leader kind of thing. And then league for a couple episodes. Could they fit that in 25 episodes? Maybe. Liko, Roy, and Dot and Alt aren't exactly weaklings at this point, so they could probably, I could see them winning against the gym leaders. And also, technically, they battled some of the gym leaders. Some they've won against, some they've lost, but hey. I don't know. I just feel like putting a league in there would be kind of a little too much. I think this training arc will stretch multiple episodes to build for the main action showdown episodes at the end. We'll see, because it seems the implication is this episode is the training episode, and we don't know what's happening after that. We don't know what the next two episodes are gonna be about. Probably get some more info this week, so I'll probably make another video, considering they're drip feeding us the episodes right now. So we'll find out soon enough what's coming after this next episode. I know they're keeping me on my toes and busy. Will Roy actually keep Rayquaza? You're again asking me a question I can't answer, Sharon. I don't know. What do you think? Will there probably be an Academy Ace tournament after the battle with Spinel, and that's when Arven will have his story? I guess we'll see. That would be neat. Yeah, I gotta say, at this point I'm desperate for like Arven and Karen to do something, but each day my faith is kind of waning, so I hope you're right, Thomas. There's gonna be 12 more episodes of Horizons until the conclusion, so Quaxwell's evolution needs to hurry up. We don't really know how many more episodes we have. The rumor right now is that there's 10 more episodes of the series, which... Do you really think in 10 episodes we're going to wrap up the series at where we're at? Because, like, in 10 episodes we literally have to, get, battle over Rayquaza again, get swoop up Diana, freed, the ship needs to be ready, go to Rakua, have several episodes for the final battle, against the Explorers and Spinel, you know, defeat him, and then have like maybe like a couple episodes after that to basically wrap the series up. If it were to end in like 10 more episodes. I kind of feel like 10 episodes, we'd be seriously rushing the end of the series. And then my question after that would be like, well, then what next? I've seen people say, oh, we're going to start the Gen 10 anime early. It's going to start like in the summer of 2026. And then, you know, then we'll go to the new region in November. And I'm like, unless they're like doing something like way different than they've ever done with any other series, even for Horizon standards. I don't know if I buy that. I've seen that argument. Said person that has said that, you know, has been right sometimes, has been wrong sometimes. So I am, you know, taking it with the biggest grain of salt. Just saying. That being said, whatever happens, you know, I will talk about it. I'll be the first one to talk about. Well, maybe not the first, but one of the people on the interwebs known as YouTube that talk about it. Or I will talk about it regardless. Okay. Iono being on screen already dropped points. But, Devin, she's your favorite. You and Nick love Iono. By the way, what's up, Devin? You say that, however, Belly Bolt, that's my counter argument. And that one screenshot, Belly Bolt, looks so stupid, I love it. There's more than 12 episodes left, there's at least 20, 25. Yeah. I don't know, guys, I can't predict the future, we can't predict the future, like, there's people that, you know, that supposedly have an end for this series that knows, you know, people from behind the scenes that tells them that this is going to happen, and I'm kind of reluctant to believe that for certain people. There are people that have some knowledge of what's going to happen. Let's just be real. There's a few individuals, and those said individuals have been very quiet, or they just don't like Horizons, and they just stop talking about it. But there are people that have some inside knowledge that have said certain things are happening, you know, a couple episodes before they happen. So there is, you have those people that do exist, but like, I just, as of right now, I'm not buying it. Like, until like they come out and say, hey, you know, the end of, you know, Liko and Roy's story is coming up here soon. But here's a look for the next series, kind of like what they did, you know, at the end of 2022 with the conclusion of the series that shall not be named, and Horizon's getting teased in December 2022. Unless they do that soon, I'm not buying that. Because the next series, if it were to like start airing this summer, we are gonna need to know at least, like, we're gonna need some type of teaser, like, here, like, soon. Like, soon. I'd say within, like, the next month and a half, we're gonna need to know if this is the case. But yeah. Anywho, we've been going on for an hour. Holy crap, guys. Remember to hit that like button and vote in the poll if you haven't already. Just saying, 13 votes. Can we get some more up here? And if you haven't done it, I need 2 more likes to 10 likes too, so I'd appreciate it. I think my biggest issue has been aspects with the world building, like with the Rising Tacklers haven't really had the Laylo much like that. Which, like, that was such a cool idea. I think I think I've said this before, but like, I think one of my issues I do have is specifically with the villains. Like, I like Sango. I like Onyx. I like Spinel. Like, I like those characters, and even like Agate, probably not as much since she hasn't done like terribly a ton. But like, I was hoping that maybe we'd get some type of backstory for some of them, so that it was like, you know, we know that they joined the Explorers and they were trained by, except for Spinel was trained by Hamber. It would have been cool if we gotten like some type of backstory with some of them. and kind of how they ended up with the Explorers. Like, why is Sango the way she is? Why'd she join the Explorers in the first place? Like, it just, like, it doesn't have to be, like, a long, like, episode. You could, like, talk about, like, some of those characters, like, in an episode. Spinel could probably use a backstory episode, like, in of itself, just to kind of show, like, what led him to basically, like, becoming an evil scientist. Mad scientist. Like, I think that would have been really cool to, like, have, like, stuff like that in the series. Because, like, at least, like, that's the thing is, like, that's why I'm, like, I don't, like, I think as a villainous organization, I do like them. I don't know if they're going to be, like, memorable like Team Rocket. I don't think that's going to be the case, unfortunately. I think mainly because Team Rocket, like, Jesse James Meowth, were in the series for so long. They're so iconic. But, like, at least they had, like, backstories, and they, like, explored them, so, like, you know, it would have been cool if we got stuff for, like, these characters. I mean, Amethio, we kind of, you know, that's kind of self-explanatory. He's kind of, like, you know, the grandson to Lucius, so we got that backstory, but, like, with other characters, we could have used something more. Nice stream. I think Alt will lose, Liko will draw, Dot will win, and Roy will draw, but I want Nemona to win. Okay, well, I don't think I'm going to change your mind, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. You got, what, 5 days to figure out whether these matchups are going to, you know, win or lose. I'll be posting those, I'll maybe making those posts here, like, as this week goes on. I might do 2 posts a day until I do votes. So, we'll see. Hey, what's up, Beast Mode God? You're showing up at the... We're over an hour into the stream. Here you are showing up at the end. You're like, hey, what's up? No, you're good. How are you doing? I was hoping Pokefan would be here, but he's probably busy. We miss you, Pokefan. I have nothing else to say. I'll be here for the discussion next week. Alright, Sharon. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Excuse me. Nah, Roy needs that W. See? Alright, I need some more water. After this, I gotta take some medicine, but yeah. I can make it throughout the stream, guys. I'm good. I actually don't want Spinel to get a backstory. The whole point of Spinel's character is that he only speaks about his direct observations and not his emotions or sad backstory. I guess so. I just would... It would be cool if there was, like, some type of, like, reason for the route he's taken for wanting to, you know, do what he did. Agate, I think, needs it more, just because it'd be like, okay, why did these two team up specifically? Like, did they cut some type of deal back then? Like, what's her backstory? Like, it just stuff like that. It's not, like, I guess necessarily needed for the series, but, like, I feel like it would add more depth to some of these characters. So it's like, okay, this is, you know, why they joined the Explorers, why they're doing what they're doing. And we're already seeing a rift between Sango and Onyx and Spinel, because they clearly are starting to kind of, you know, not like what they're doing. It's pretty clear that that's happening. I don't think they really care for this stuff. They're starting to see the light a little bit, but yeah. I mean, you do have some of their personalities, like Sango likes limited, condition items and stuff like that. And if I remember correctly, doesn't like Onyx like udon noodles. So they do have some traits of their personality that kind of got fleshed out slightly in the series. It'd just be nice to see what they were like in the past, but that's just me. We need another Methio-focus episode, yeah. Again, collecting Zygarde cells. It doesn't have to be anything too major, but show us, like... And then he could be, like, bonding with Zerk and Coney. That'd be cool. I'd dig it. I'd watch it. If there is a backstory for Spinel, I would want it to be about his days at Celadon University. Celadon University was mentioned in the Johto series, so it would make a nice continuity. That would be kind of interesting. I'd argue it's a bit of a stretch to bring that up from Johto to this. It would be, I'd say the writers would be really like digging in the prior series to kind of bring up something to kind of connect it, and it would be kind of neat. I just don't know. Well, obviously we need said backstory first, so it'd be neat, I guess. You think Spinel starts to lose his grip on things? His plans start to fail. Will Spinel lose his mind? I mean, he might throw a bit of a fit. I mean, you see that with like these evil like mad scientist characters where they lose and they just like go insane. So I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, be interesting. Will Spinel be killed off? I don't know. They'd have to do what they did to Zygarde to him, but I don't know. I kind of feel like, I mean, yeah, he probably deserves it, but I'd also feel like he probably deserves jail, because definitely deserves it for all his crimes. Songo and Onyx deserve a backstory. Yes. And he has an Umbreon, so going to school in Johto would make sense. Oh, man. That'd be cool. Also feel like Houndoom would have fit Spinel more than Umbreon. I mean, I feel like Houndoom would be a little bit more generic, because I feel like that would be more like a Team Rocket Mon from going back to the Gold and Silver days. But I digress. I don't know. Whatever the series wants. I'd also say Umbreon is probably a more marketable Mon for the series compared to Houndoom, but that's just me. More recognizable. I mean, considering how he treats Pokemon, how did he get Eevee to evolve with high friendship? I don't know, maybe back in the day he was a swell guy, and then, you know, he just changed over time. Hunter J was killed. Well, yeah, we know that. I mean, there have been characters that have died in the series. For all we know, Lysander survived, and it's just like ZA, and he just roams around it as an immortal. Well, maybe not quite immortal, since, you know, well, spoilers for ZA, so, but yeah. He just has an extended life. He's just going to be living for a long time. Sorry, Celadon is in Kanto, but it's talked about in the Johto series. Yeah. Anywho. Alright, guys, it's been quite the stream today again. Just like, seems like we're getting more people up in here, which is cool. I mean, if we get a pretty decent crowd here, I'm willing to go on the full hour and a half, but, you know, for the lesser ones, we usually go just an hour. But hey, you know, it's been over an hour since we started streaming, so gonna see if you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we kind of wrap things up here in a little bit. Just a last reminder to hit the like button. We hit 10 likes. Thank you, guys. And if you haven't, please vote in the poll. If not, you've already done your part. 14 votes and 57% for 8-7. Hunter J may have been or not Pokemon anime. There's a lot of mysteries unanswered. Yeah, the only thing about it is she never appeared again, and she kind of got blown up alongside her crew, which and based on where she was at, doesn't seem very survivable. Unless somehow, and they didn't. Besides that, didn't they sink down too? So it's just like, what do you do at that point? I mean, I guess it is fiction, so you know, stuff that kills us in real life doesn't necessarily kill you in this series. I mean, Team Rocket blast off all the time, and they don't die. Just saying. In the next series, I want the main character with a Wimpod and raise it to a fearless Galissapod. That'd be neat. Yep, she's gone. I like how blunt that was. Beast mode, God. You're just like, yep, she's gone. It's over. She ain't coming back. Maybe as a ghost, man. But yeah, yep, she's gone. Do you think we will get Legend ZA Sync pairs and Pokemon Masters EX this year? I don't know, Sharon. Maybe it'd be cool. I don't play Masters EX anymore, so it doesn't really matter to me. Well, the laws of death don't apply to Team Rocket. It's because they're gag characters. Gag characters don't die. They don't lose. They can't lose. Well, they lose, but they can't die, I guess is the right way to put it. I mean, they kind of like supposedly drowned in that SSN episode, and they were completely out, and then they just woke up, and Pikachu was not too pleased with that. Pikachu wanted them gone. a little bit, kind of a little bit psychotic, Pikachu. Thought you were supposed to be a good guy. I think having Liko and Roy and Masters would be nice. It would be cool. Okay. Anything else, guys? 8 out of 10. Hopefully we don't have an episode where one of the characters gets arrested. I don't think they're gonna get arrested, but they can't necessarily go out in public, or they probably will be either charged or like just publicly shamed. So yeah, at least we got Iono that's helping us out here. Don't forget to read my essay. I'll get to it when I get a chance here, maybe tonight or sometime this week. I will read it though. Like I said, I'm a little bit behind on my comments. I haven't been able to read it this week. I've been a little bit busy the last couple of days. But technically this last week I was pretty much busy. I just threw together that video. And I'll try to read it before we get another episode title coming out here. But I'll just remind you guys that if we get an episode title but no summary, unless the title gives away something major, probably won't make a video until we get like a full-on summary. And if it's not interesting enough for a video, I might hold off on making a video on it. Just saying. I have nothing else to say. You said that earlier, Sharon. But you definitely had more to say. Just saying. Freed along with Steven Stone and others will defend. I think it's nice that Steven Stone made a cameo in the series, but I don't know if we're gonna see him again. At least have Freed here for this final confrontation. Anyways, anything else, guys, before we wrap things up here? I think I'm pretty much out of things to talk about today. Also getting a little hungry here. Could use something for lunch. Next week's stream will be normal time. I would say so. I was busy yesterday, so unless something were to come up, I should be able to do it the normal time. But again, if anything ever changes when it comes to these streams, I will make a post about it before said stream happens. We'll defend the new Rainbow Tacklers and keep them out of jail. I wonder if anyone was filming Liko and Dash's battle as more proof of the dangers of the strong spheres. I literally said that earlier. it'd be kind of neat if someone was filming that as kind of like a, hey, let's put this out on the internet and, you know, showcase that, hey, let's do this a counter argument that actually these are bad and you should not use them. So I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happens later on, like as we kind of wrap things up here with the series, or at least this final arc or final battle. I'll see you guys next week. Alright, see you, Sharon. Alright, I think I'm actually going to wrap things up now. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. We ended up with 15 votes. 60% went to 8-7, 27% went to 10-9, and 13% went to 6-5. So the general consensus seems to be that this episode falls between an 8 and a 7. So I will end the poll. I gave the episode a 7. Let's give this episode a 7. Sounds good to me. Alright, anyways, I don't know if I would like to try and like go back to normal activity with like my gaming streams. I've been a little bit busy lately, but maybe this week I can start my new Let's Play. So we'll see if I have some time this week. Just been very busy lately, but I will get to it eventually. So more to come on that. And I obviously expect the next Horizons live discussion to be at the normal time, Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time Zone. See you later, Hector Dexter. Thank you for hanging out with us today. But anyways, I'm going to get going now. I got to go eat. But, hey, it's been a fun stream, y'all. Like always. And with that all said, yeah, we're done today. So if you're still here, thank you so much for joining me today. Have a good day or night wherever you're at. And I will see you all later. Bye now.